Alright everybody, welcome back to Oxygen Not Included and my channel. This is going to be the second video. I know I said that it wasn't going to be exclusively this game's content on this channel, but you know what, I'm still in the mood to play it right now. Things are going to be a little bit different. I'm not going to go back to the colony that we started in the first video. I came across a new siege which has some really interesting starting challenges. I'll also paste this in the description if you want to play along. And like I said, I'm going to enable sandbox mode in case I lose track of what I'm doing. But this seed actually has been quite challenging. It has some interesting starting features which make it quite difficult. And yeah, I think it has a lot of long-term promise, but should be a lot of fun to record and just to play in general. I'll probably play in between videos, so the next time that I start up this colony there will be some significant changes and I'll explain all that I did. I've also got some interesting things I want to talk about that happened this week in the world of Aspergers, so got that to look forward to. The principal thing right now though is I want to make sure that I get a good starting crew of duplicants, because one of the most difficult things with this colony that I have experienced is that the nearest source of water is very small and it is not close. And you'll understand why when I find the right duplicants and I start up the game. I can't cook, but you can work better at night. No. You move fast and you dig fast. Even though you learn slow, that's really important to me. So Gossman, you're important. As my builder, increase strength, narcoleptic, perfect. And as a researcher, increase science, germ resistance, can't do doctoring, that's fine. Delicate base, serene crater, delicate ant farm, the death space camp, space station homestead, unfortunate space prison is actually pretty accurate. Quarantined rat's nest. No. Let's hit random a bunch of times, and what do we get? The intergalactic cantaloupe it is. Alright, let's begin. So, as you can see, shit's weird. This is the first time I have ever seen a point of interest, which is what this is. It's a randomly generated object that has leftovers from a previous facility that you can access by accessing the security door in the starting biome, which is insane. But there's also a very high probability that that was where my closest source of water was going to be, and it got painted over essentially with this point of interest. So now my nearest source of water is this up here. And when you start a colony, you are basically on a timer. Well, obviously you're on a timer, but you have one cycle to get bathrooms and access to water so that you can make wash basins to prevent your duplicates from peeing themselves on cycle 2. So I need to rush as fast as possible to get up here, access water, and build bathrooms. And also at the same time, I don't have a whole lot of oxygen because this covered up a large portion of oxygen that usually generates right around here. So I have my 5 tiles of oxalite here, I have 1 tile there, and I think that may actually be it for the oxalite that it gave me. And it doesn't even look like I have many oxyframes, which means I am going to be pushed for time. I'm going to need a way to generate oxygen very quickly. I could access the algae that's here, but the problem with that is there's a lot of germs in this world too. You can't see them, but as I dig up here and I see more, when I tested out this colony before, I'm basically completely surrounded by slime lung. Which slime lung, germs, slime lung, only dies when it's below 10 degrees Celsius or above 100 degrees Celsius. So that ain't happening. It multiplies on slime and in polluted oxygen, which slime gives off polluted oxygen. And it dies off pretty quickly in clean oxygen. So one of the things I think I'm going to do is rush for the deodorizer so that I can purify all the oxygen that comes off the slime down here. And I don't think I have any nearby chlorine. That would be super useful. But yeah, I basically need access to this as soon as possible. I don't actually know what's in here, but my algae, I need the algae. The slime, if I get the algae distiller in the research, I can convert that into algae as well as generate some more polluted water. So I also need to rush for the water sieve. So I know I haven't actually done anything in this video just yet, but this is essentially going to be the entire thing. Just rush up here ASAP. Let's increase the game speed. Ladder. Oh, actually don't want to waste any time, so I paused right there while I built that. Alright, so now they can resume. That should give everybody, yes, they all have jobs now. So I'm going to put a wash basin here, here, plumbing, outhouse, here, and here. They don't need doors or anything like that. That's just going to take time, and I don't have time. So yeah, they're rushing up here as fast as they possibly can. Put that there, and I'll dig this out here. That way the water flows over, and it has equal access to all of this. Like I said, we're on the timer, almost halfway through the day, and they still haven't breached up here. Actually, just go ahead and cancel these dig orders. That's actually a faster way to dig up plants. If you were to leave a dig or an uproot command on a plant, if you're already planning on digging up the tile underneath it, they could just dig that up and it unplants the plant as well. It's much faster to do it that way. So, here we go. Rushing, rushing, rushing. We've got plenty of dirt, so the outhouses are at least going to be secure. We've got a good amount of starting food with these hexalent. I have a pip in here, but there's no arbor tree, so I'm going to want to possibly shuffle him over here if possible. At least he's got a good consistent amount of food there. And my oxygen situation is not going to be great. I'm not going to give any other build orders though until they finish all of this. And in fact, I don't even feel confident talking about Aspergers and autism issues until I know for a fact that this is sorted. Because I've never had to rush a colony like this before. Okay, come on guys, dig, 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 dig. Night's coming up. I may actually have to take away your downtime in order to get this done. Oh, nope, perfect. We managed it. Alright, deliver the water. Alright, perfect. I don't even care that you guys are idle right now. You earned it. You rushed. You did it. Let's go ahead and give a dig order here. But it's scheduled downtime, so there you can see that they pooped, they peed, they're washing their hands. Germs are now contained. Because the last thing I want is food poisoning everywhere when I'm already going to have to be dealing with slime lung, which you can see how quickly it's growing. Oh boy. So yeah, you see what I mean? There's a ton more slime lung up here. And my clean water reserves are quite limited. Alright, so I'm going to drop it back down to slow speed for now. And I believe I dug up some metal so that I can get to work on a power supply. I'm going to want access to this because there's a decent amount of oxygen here as well, so I think I'm going to go ahead and issue a dig command there. I want to be very careful about approaching this because I don't want to crack this open and expose myself to slime lung. See, there's even slime lung on this algae. That's clay, so that's good. And I don't want... I basically am afraid of polluted oxygen getting in here. I actually don't know if there's polluted oxygen in here either. And the only way for me to get rid of this fog of war, essentially, this black void, is to access the security door. And the only way I'm going to gain access to that is by going through the germs. So it's time to research. So let's go ahead and let the night continue. Power supply. Let's put you right here. Put a battery here, I guess. Alright, that'll do. That'll get me started on research. Queue up a couple other things so that they have stuff to do. I'm gonna want more access to all of that. Yeah, I know you guys have sore backs. I'm sorry about that. Alright. try to give you a little latrine bonus. Morale, as I said in the previous video, is extremely important for teching up your duplicants and getting them the proper skills early on in the game. So, do I have a snore? I don't recall if I chose a duplicant that snores. Nisbet, are you a snore? Narcoleptic, no, you randomly sleep. That actually was a risk. You're a vomiter. Slow learner, twinkle toes, germ, squeamish. Okay, good. Yeah, so you can all sleep together in the same room. No issues. Good. Does that count for... Yes, okay, good. So it doesn't have to have man-made tiles, or duplicate-made tiles in order for that to count. I'm gonna also want to access that. So let's put some those over there because I'm gonna want this hexalant. I'm probably gonna want that arbor tree. Let's go ahead and dig that up actually. Okay, research focus. So first and foremost, I know in order to get the water sieve, the algae distiller, and the deodorizer, I'm going to need advanced research. Normally I would rush to get food going, but I don't think that there's any algae that I can access. Yeah, no, hell no. I was actually considering making an algae terrarium because that could be an oxygen source, and it would also fix some carbon dioxide. However, the risk being that it produces polluted water, which would create polluted oxygen, and that would open me up to more danger from Slime. So I'm not going to touch the algae terrariums, but in the interest of getting the rest of the research done quickly, I need to get advanced research as soon as possible and level up whoever my researcher is so that we can get those things done. Maybe after I do advanced research, I'll do food real quick so that I have a place to store food. I kind of don't want to move my oxyferns, but I may store them down here and try to lure a pip down. See if I can get this pip to come down here, or I could just cheat and teleport him. Then I could get him to plant the oxyfern in this area so that the CO2 pit will have a constant supply and it will generate a small amount of oxygen. In the interest of that, actually, let's go ahead and dig access to these, which is going to suck for me because that means that we're going to be expanding the amount of area that the oxygen can spread, but I need those plants. I need those plants, I need that water. Oh, man. Alright, so the first research is done, that's just the water cooler. But we're on our way. Whew. Okay, so what I wanted to talk about this week, now that I'm past all this, I have no idea how long this recording has even gone, and I haven't even addressed anything autism related. So, this week, I had some interesting things happen. In particular, I was learning something new on the job, and it was something that I didn't know that my job description covered. I didn't know that it was something that I would be required to do, and it is... The person that teaches me things at work is not a great teacher. I appreciate him, he's very relaxed, and he likes to joke a lot. Ooh, buddy bud, I need you. But I'm gonna have to expose myself to this slime in order to get you on. Yep, sorry, I got distracted. Anyway, he is not the best teacher, but he's a pretty good friend. And we've joked about my autism a couple of times, but he's never actually really experienced it before, which is kind of funny to say. But basically, we went around and kind of reviewed the security process for all of the different positions in the company that I work for, or at least in our main flow process, and compared notes to figure out if there was anything that we could be doing better, anything that we're missing, you know, trying to alleviate any risks or concerns in security. And we then had to report that to our manager. And there wasn't a whole lot to report. I mean, it was just basic, you know, like we need to maintain some things to be a little more efficient, blah, blah, blah. You get the idea. So we were all just kind of joking about it and very lackadaisical, nonchalant, and the question came up who was going to email these details. Just so there was a paper trail to the manager, and because we were in a joking manner, I continued to joke with them that I wasn't going to do it. I absolutely would have if they had just straight up told me, hey, you're going to do it. But we just kept up that joking manner. So I went home at the end of the day having not emailed the manager. And come morning, my coworker came in and he asked me, hey, did you send that email? And I said, no, I told you I wouldn't. Just in that kind of joking voice. And he I understand that he needs his morning coffee to wake up and actually start taking things for what they are, and he recognized in retrospect that I was joking, but he told me to stop what I was doing and basically go do a job task which is outdated and we no longer do because we recognized that it was pointless, and he just kind of treated me like a child, and it really, really pissed me off. And that's a big issue with me and my Asperger's is that when I get disrespected like that, I kind of I don't want to say that I get rage attacks as opposed to panic attacks because my natural response to stress is to fight as opposed to flight. But it was noticeable to me that I just went completely stone faced and I was pissed about the way he was talking to me. And I knew that he wasn't doing it intentionally and he didn't understand that I was joking. And once I realized the misunderstanding, I told him that I needed his notes in order to compose the email, and he gave them to me, and then he went on a smoke break. And during his smoke break, I sent him a quick IM explaining the situation, like, hey, I was in the mindset that we were joking yesterday, so I didn't understand that you were serious about me sending that email. I took care of it. Here's the summary. And I'm sorry if there was a misunderstanding. Hope we can move past this. And in the meantime, I've taken an Ativan. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar, Ativan is the drug of choice that jails use to calm down inmates. My psychologist agrees that it's a good idea for me to have it on hand, as does my primary care manager, because even though I have very strong self-control, there is always the risk that I could hurt myself or hurt something or hurt someone. I don't think that it's at all likely that it would ever happen, but it's better safe than sorry. And while it does kind of take me out of commission for the day, it kind of makes me into a zombie, I would much rather be that zombie for the day and be in control than risk my life, my job, my health, or anyone's health. Like, I don't want to hurt people. And because of the way I handle stress, I tend to be at risk of heart attacks as well, because I have very high blood pressure whenever I get angry, and that's never a fun thing to have. The last thing you want when you're not even in your 30s yet is to have a heart attack, and I've actually had a mild heart attack before. I've had a stroke before. Um, in fact, both of those happened in extremely stressful situations when I was dealing with college. College was not kind to me. But yeah, that's we managed to move past it, and it's been an interesting week. Like I said to my coworker, this is kind of your first introductory experience to me and my autism. Hope you enjoyed, because there's more where that came from. That's for sure. Oh man, that was tough. I felt bad about it. I felt guilty, but I'm just happy that I have coworkers that are understanding and willing to work with me. Something else I wanted to talk about. Blah, 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 blah. I make notes throughout the week. I always have a notepad on me at all times because things randomly pop into my head, good, bad, whatever. And reading through them now as I'm waiting for my duplicates to do things. See, we're already almost out of this oxalate, and while the oxygen levels right now are good, I am not generating much oxygen. This is only generating 7.8 grams, and they're breathing 300. I believe, unless one of them is a uh, diver zones. I don't think that they are though. So yeah, I really need to... Oh, the pip is down there, good. So I can uproot these oxyferns and move them down there. And maybe store the rest of my seeds up here. That way there's a higher chance that he will plant the stored oxyfern down here. If I can keep him down here, that would be ideal. Ooh, hatchlings, yes. So hatches are also going to be very important to me because they're going to be generating power for me as they eat things. Hatches have a wonderful synergy with pips because pips eat the branches of these trees, which is next to no resources, and you can grow them for free thanks to pips, or you can farm them yourselves. And they produce a massive amount of dirt. I think you can actually get about 20 kilograms per pip per cycle if they're fed the right amount of food each day, because they'll just eat off of the trees themselves, which a sage hatchling, or a sage hatch, which if fed organics and dirt consistently will convert that directly into 20 kilograms of coal, which I think it's 600 kilograms for the coal generator run all day. Either way, that's 20 seconds per pip per hatch per cycle that you can run a coal generator, which is a ton of power. It's very, very useful. So I want all seeds except for oxyfern, and I want only oxyfern stored down here. There we go. Do I have any duplicate skills yet? No. I'm going to want you to get advanced researching as soon as possible. So you getting up there. My oxygen levels, you can see they're already dropping, partially because I'm opening up so many areas and the oxygen is just kind of fluctuating and spreading around, but also because I'm not generating anything and I really need to bring this priority up. Okay, are you taking it down there? Where are you putting it? Where are you putting it? Where are you going? Where? No, don't you dare. Where are you? Why are you? No! I mean, yes, but no. No. Well, you tried to anyway. Did I take it from him? I don't know. I saw the duplicate try to take it. Alright, so now at this point I need the research station, but there's no point in building it just... Well, actually I guess I can build it. Go ahead and deconstruct this and uproot this because I'm going to want it in a lit area as well. Yes, another idle station. Pause this for a second because I am losing the plot. This is a lot more hectic than I was in the past, and I apologize for that. Because, like I said, the starting part of this seed is quite crazy. There's a couple other unique features that is quite useful. For instance, I know for a fact that up here somewhere there is a cool slush geyser, which is going to give me a lot of very cold polluted water, which I can use as a water source. And then somewhere way over here there's actually 3 cool steam vents, which is a massive amount of heat and a lot of fresh water. So I'm actually, if I can get past this early game hump, I'm in the clear when it comes to water, which is a massive boon. Okay, so I do have 3 oxyfern seeds, that's perfect. If I can expand this a little bit, maybe I can entice a pip to plant. A couple more, good. Yeah, you tried to take something there. Go ahead, you can take one. But I want you to plant it down there. I still don't want to access that until I get my duplicate skill. You're getting there, you're getting there. Alright, good. So yeah, another thing that came to mind recently was I was trying to figure out some of the things that I'm missing as a person, because like I said, I'm an approximation of humanity. And one of the things I realized is very early on in my life, I kind of learned some poor lessons or fail to learn some things. In particular, I feel like I never really learned the difference between people laughing at me versus laughing with me, which has led me to avoid things that make people laugh, which is really strange because I do like entertaining people, and I feel like that's a major problem for me. Okay, so you're still researching that. I don't want to take you away from that until that's done. So as an example of this, anytime that I felt embarrassment as a child, even though embarrassment can be healthy in some instances, if I felt embarrassed, I shut down and I got very angry with the people that made me feel embarrassed. Whether they were laughing with me or at me, I just wanted nothing to do with it. And I took it very personally and very harshly. And as a result, I kind of never really learned how to handle embarrassment or humor. And as a result of that, like a lot of very good social behaviors, such as, I guess I can deconstruct that now, like dancing. I don't dance. I think a decent amount of introverted people probably don't. But for me in particular, the reason why I don't dance is because I never learned how, and I'm afraid of people making fun of me or laughing at me, and that's scary. Did you finish? Yeah, okay, good. So now you can research food. There it is. Actually, yeah, let's go for meal prep. I feel like there was more I wanted to say on that. So yeah, in the interest of preventing myself from becoming embarrassed and from trying to avoid having people laugh at me or laughing around me, I became very interested in controlling and planning things as much as possible. I think a lot of the intelligence of Asperger's probably comes from our interest in controlling things. Because we learned from a very early age that we need to actively be involved and to think out things and prepare. So I'm kind of obsessed with efficiency. I know it's not looking like it with this colony, but when I mentioned in the previous video that I have pages and pages of notes on this game, I'm not kidding. Like here, let me flip through some of the pages in my notebook here. Let's see, random page back here. So let's see, on this page I was calculating the exact oxygen needs for 3 duplicants and how to supply that using deodorizers, which meant that I was going to supply their oxygen needs purely from polluted oxygen. And in order to do that, I was abusing the game mechanics of off-gassing because polluted dirt, slime, and water all off-gasses a certain amount of polluted oxygen, provided the pressure in the area is low enough. So this is not going to be producing polluted oxygen, but if the pressure was low enough, polluted water will off-gas, I think it's 0.01 or 0.1% of its total mass, which in this case is 651.8 kilograms. So that would be a couple grams of polluted oxygen, and it has a 1 in 4 chance of doing that every second. So with the appropriate amount of mass and the appropriate amount of tiles of polluted water exposed, you can actually generate enough polluted oxygen to support a duplicant, and then you would just need a certain amount of sand to deodorize the oxygen to make it clean oxygen, which is what I'm working towards right now. I just need my researcher to level up. He's almost there. And that is an example of me becoming obsessed with efficiency. Like, I wanted to know the exact conversion rates of, how much polluted oxygen can I generate from a gram of carbon dioxide, or how much oxygen can a duplicant generate simply by breathing, which obviously not much right now. I don't have many oxyferns planted. That's a very poor place for an oxyfern pip. Why would you do that? I need that down here in the CO2 pit. So yeah, I kind of became obsessed with efficiency at a very early age, and that actually kind of plays out a little bit into my professional life as well. The job that I currently do benefits a lot from being highly detail oriented and figuring out solutions to problems of your own free will and at your own pace. Like, I'm afforded that at work, and I can't thank them enough for having that ability and that autonomy. But I think another thing that I really benefit from is, or not, that's not at all what I want to say. Another thing that impacted was my college. I struggled to find a degree plan that worked for me, and in the end, the degree I ended up getting was in emergency management, which kind of goes hand in hand with my obsession with controlling things. And I'm really thankful that I found a degree plan that I could function in. I had a lot of difficulty choosing a degree because nothing totally encapsulated or interested me, and that subject matter did. Sorry, I'm losing the plot again because I'm trying to keep track of everything. So yeah, I became interested in emergency management because I grew up dealing with natural disasters and such at an early age. You know, growing up largely in the South, you deal with hurricanes, tornadoes, floods, all kinds of interesting things. And it made sense to me how a city would respond to natural disasters, but I wanted to know the details and how that could benefit me as an individual. And I think more people need that awareness in their life so that they know what to do in events, in case there's an emergency. I think not enough people understand that. Boy, we are cutting it thin right here. I don't yet have an advanced digger, but I'm going to need to get down into this sand as soon as possible. But yeah, I'm definitely the person that you want to know in the event of a natural disaster. I know how the city's going to respond, how to... actually, yeah, now that you're... like where to go in case of an emergency, where to get supplies. I know how to purify water. I know how to make all kinds of different things that will help you in a situation where society not necessarily collapses, but definitely has difficulty. Oh, this is going to be the painful part. My digger is also a slow learner, isn't she? But she's almost there. She's almost there. So I almost have hard digging. Once I have hard digging, I'll have access to the sand. Once I have access to the sand, then I won't be afraid to crack this open. I just need you to finish that research. That is high priority. Oh god, my oxygen situation is very poor. I may need to dig up here and crack into that, or dig over there and crack into that. It's going to be easier to go up there. Oh boy. Alright, let's do it. Let's go up here. Crack that open. And then I can start cracking into these areas with slime lung and not be so afraid. There is still a chance that they'll get slime lung because it takes a while for it to die off in the oxygen, but the main fear right now is just getting to it without having my duplicates get slime lung before it's too late. Another thing that I have kind of been struggling with since I made my first video last week is I wasn't sure who all I wanted to share this content with. Like I said, I do have a small group of friends, and they are gamers for the large part. And I know that the game content, or at least Oxygen Not Included, isn't in their particular interest. A lot of them don't find this kind of game interesting. And it definitely has increased in difficulty since it released, so those that were interested initially probably aren't now because it's gotten much more complicated. But the question is, like, do I share it with them in the interest of my mental health? I would want them to know how I function and how I deal and how I react outside of their influence, because like I said, the biggest issue is that I exist with a mask because I just kind of reflect what people give me. But I'm kind of also dependent on that mask. Like, I'm not sure that people will accept me as who I actually am. And I realize once I actually wrote that down and once I say it out loud that it's very stupid to have that mentality, but I know that it's the default mentality that most people are going to experience when they're faced with revealing who they actually are. To a degree, it is useful to have a mask. Masks help you when it comes to, we never did finish that research, you're still working on it. Masks help you to avoid faux pas and potential dangers in workplaces and in society. So I value my masks, but at the same time, I don't necessarily know whether or not my personality works well with the personality of my friends. I don't know. It's complicated to think about. It really is. All right. So now that I have this, I can place you, you, you. So 3 should be plenty. Let's dig down there. It's gonna be risky. I've always stopped myself right when I got to this point because I wanted to record it because I don't know if it's gonna be functional and if it's gonna be safe. Once all of this is converted into clean oxygen, in theory, it should be alright. But I am definitely scared. At the very least, this gives me access to algae, which I can toss down one of these guys. Alright, there we go. Just realized this also gives me access to some clay, which I can make early game ceramics out of. Let's build this down here. That'll give me access to some more oxygen, and hopefully that will improve my situation. If I put this algae into this distiller, it is going to come out with slime lung. I don't like this. It's risky. Shit. Maybe if I add this as a buffer. So the way these work is that they will pull in oxygen, they will pull in polluted oxygen in a 2-tile radius around them. So if any polluted oxygen does get to them, it should purify it, and because the slime lung is on clean oxygen, it should die off very quickly. I'm also going to increase the priority on this because I want that sand so that I can start filtering. And slap these down as well. Alright, I know I'm a rambling mess this episode and I apologize, but I am committed to continuing to make these videos whether I make sense or not. Whether I'm talking about oxygen not included or not, it doesn't matter. The important thing is that I continue to do it and try to stick to something. Because I think a lot of us have issues with commitments to various things. Alright, good. Looks like you guys are functioning, so that means I can increase our power supply. Let's go ahead and research combustion as well. Even though the hatches haven't hatched yet, and it's going to be several cycles before they do, at least getting things in place so that when I start generating coal, I'll be okay, is a good plan. Look, see, the slime lung has already died off here. Anything that off-gases from this slime is going to immediately be fixed by these deodorizers. So we're definitely making progress. On the oxygen front, this will start flooding out here. And this will be my new CO2 pit coming down here as well as over here. I have a decent amount of filtering medium here. Good. And I can then go further and research this rock crusher so that I can convert things into sand. Another neat thing going on in this game is that clay, when you combine it, I think it's with coal, you can turn it into ceramics, and then if you take ceramics and you turn that back into sand, it actually is net positive on sand production, so you can use that as kind of an infinite loop to keep deodorizers and sieves running as long as you're constantly producing ceramic and then crushing it into sand, as long as you have coal, of course. So now I've got a large amount of oxygen being generated. The slime lung is now starting to die off, which is very good. So I may open this up a little bit more to encourage more oxygen flow this way. And this algae is also safe. So let's dig this up so that I have more algae coming. It's also good to have early gold, because gold is used in making higher temperature tolerance pumps, which I'm going to need for the water that's going to be generated from those steam vents. I believe it increases the tolerance by 150 degrees or something along those lines. I'm not sure, maybe it's only 50. But I definitely need to take my time and be patient coming over here, because I want to see what's down in here, but I don't want to get slime lung. Looks like no one currently has. So they do have contact with slime lung, but they haven't yet started to actually get germs, which is good. Doesn't look like they're covered in it either. It looks like you guys are idle, so maybe I will risk going ahead and digging down into this. Is that stuff? Yeah, it's very, very small amounts, so it's less than a kilogram, or less than 1,000 slime lung. So that's good. Alright, so, and that's mostly clean oxygen, so it's going to be dying very quickly. I think if you actually pause and look at this, the slime lung is at 785. It's losing one every second, so in one cycle it should be dead, because it's dying 29% per cycle in oxygen. The temperature isn't making an impact, but the clean oxygen is. And there is a massive amount of clean oxygen. Whew. Well, I'm glad we got over that initial hump. I kind of lost track of things that I want to talk about, so I think what I'm going to do is I will wrap up this video once I get down into this point of interest and see what it is. And then probably I will have made significant progress in this colony by the time I make another video. Certainly, like I said, I know where some beneficial things are in this world, where the geysers are, blah blah blah. I may actually add... Okay, good, I have those. I may actually add a deodorizer right here, because there is a large amount of polluted oxygen right there. Let's go ahead and make this priority 8 so they take care of it. That way all this gets converted. Ooh, I have a paku as well. So paku are a wonderful food source, especially given the world that I've got, because aside from using algae to generate oxygen, if you feed them algae, they produce a massive amount of polluted dirt, a massive amount of eggs. Like their reproduction rate jumps up to an insane amount while they're fed. And yes, they will eat the algae very quickly, but once a certain number is attained, ooh, there's a buddy bud down here. Once a certain number is attained, they will actually be self-sustaining, essentially, whether they're wild or tamed, I believe. Maybe not if they're tamed, I don't know. But I can produce a massive amount of food very, very quickly, so they could be eating paku fillet, which would be quite good for their morale, because I can grill a fish. I'm not sure if there's a sushi recipe. A sushi recipe would be nice as well. Okay, good. And slime lung is continuing to die. Having this also is fantastic, because that's an early source of reef fibers, so I could make Atmo suits. Atmo suits protect you from germ exposure, a certain amount of heat, and cold tolerance, which is going to be useful when I'm working around geysers. And certainly when collecting all of this algae. I am baffled by the amount of slime and algae in this world. I don't even think this world had the slime mold trait, but I'm down with it. Like I said, I've never had this much, this accessible, this early in the game. Ooh, one of those is out of business, so maybe I should toss down a compost here. And actually, you know what? Cancel this, because, well, not that. Cancel the compost because I want to put yet another deodorizer right here. And then I'll put the refinery here. And maybe I will put, let's see, we'll do this and that. So what I'm gonna do, actually, gonna have to be pretty tall, is I'm going to put a bottle emptier right here, and I'm going to just create a little polluted water trough. And the reason for that is I want the water to off-gas, and by allowing it to do so, it will create some polluted oxygen, which will then be fixed by this and create another source of oxygen for my base. A small amount, but every little bit counts. So that's going on, and I'm going to prioritize this as 6. Submit a bioscan. I don't care who opens it, just somebody open it. What do we got? Ooh, okay. So this is a really interesting start. So I've got 2 wild thimblereeds. I've got a neural vacillator, which I guess I could just dig straight down to get access to. And I've got some lockers, which if I inspect, there's a 3-ring binder inside. I scanned the surviving documents. New database entry discovered. What do we get? I've been unable to shake the notion of the bow? The bow? The thought of its mechanics are too intriguing. I only dream of the market. I'm the source of inexhaustible energy. I'm assuming bow, because arrow. So many of humanity's problems could be solved with this one invention. Domestic energy, environmental pollution, the fuel wars. I have to pursue this dream no matter what. Okay, yeah, sure. Let's inspect this one. That'll give us another entry. Personal journal A046. Encryption level none. Gravitas has been growing pretty rapidly since our first product hit the market. I just gotta look at some of the new hires. They're practically babies. Not quite what I was expecting, but then I've never had an opportunity to mentor someone before. Could be fun. Interesting. And this last one, inspect. Give me another entry, another journal entry. I started work at a new company called the Gravitas facility today. I was nervous and I wouldn't get the job at first because I was fresh out of school and I was so pushy in the interview. But the director apparently liked my thesis on the physiological thermal regulation of Arctic lizards. What? Okay, sure. I'll be working with some brilliant geneticists, bioengineering organisms for space travel in harsh environments. It's like a dream come true. I get to work on exciting new research in a place where no one knows me. That actually would be a dream come true for me. But physiological thermal regulation of Arctic lizards, that to me sounds like Dreco. Because Dreco grow scales of fiber or plastic in order to regulate their temperature. And presumably they are lizards. So I'm going to queue up rummage on these because there can be useful things inside these lockers. Let's see what we find. So nothing in there. Ooh, we got a snazzy suit, a warm sweater, and another snazzy suit. Everyone gets a suit. Let me think. Askin, I want to assign you the fuzzy suit, and the girls get the fancy suits. Alright, everybody play dress up. Look at you with your golden suit. Look at you with your cute sweater. Look at this sweater. That's so precious. I love it. Alright, Gossman, go down there and get you snazzy suit. Sorry, I slowed down the game a bit. Let's dig down here as well. And who do we want to vacillate? Let me stop and look at my duplicates. So, Gossman, you are Twinkle Toes, Slow Learner. Maybe I should, because you're not going to learn skills very quickly, so making you good at something else would be pretty nice. Yeah, let's do Gossman. So let's priority 6 this. And we get that done faster. How's the oxygen situation doing? We're slowly creeping up on oxygen. We don't have much good flow coming out of here, and a large amount is just generating and catching here. And I did that intentionally because I wanted the oxygen to build up in here and kill that slime lung as soon as possible. And looks like the germ situation is definitely good. You see the slime lung is definitely reducing. So yeah, vacillation is almost instant. Jesus. Alright, so you are ready. Let's complete the neural process. Gossman, what you get? Regenerative. So you generate health now at 20% per cycle without even having to rest. And now big brain is small brain. I can't destroy this, but I can recharge it. I think you can get new charges from going into space, which I've never done. There's a possibility that I'll eventually do that in one of these colonies. Who knows? So it looks like they're finally building this. Good. I may actually build... Yeah, let's build a storage thing too, because as I pour water, if I store polluted dirt in there, it'll stop it from off-gassing until they can compost it. And for research, I should start refining so that I can generate my own sand. Or actually, no, yeah, I should rush for this because I want to be able to start sieving water. Yeah, because I have a decent amount of sand. I can make that in the future. Ooh, shine nymph eggs or sandstone. Let's get some shine nymphs going. Again, it's going to take a long time for those eggs to hatch, but once they do, they're pretty much self-sustaining. Yeah, so this has been Oxygen Not Included. I felt like whatever I wanted to talk about with autism probably got out there, probably was difficult to follow. There's nothing much new there. I really like that I have these ruins, though. I'm excited that I managed to get this. I'm glad that it wasn't just a vacillator or just lockers. I got both, so that's really cool. I also got dust caps, which they grow in carbon dioxide, which is perfect. I also have a large amount of slime, so if I wanted to domesticate them, I could. Actually, a lot of them. And I can come down and get this buddy buds. So buddy buds are super useful whenever you have a large amount of polluted stuff going on because they spread floral scent germs, which is another reason why I make sure to never, ever take duplicants that are allergic to floral scents. Floral scents are so good, they actually will prevent slime lung from spreading. They outcompete it very quickly. And you can actually place buddy buds in a pot near your oxygen generation and then pump that oxygen around, and the buddy bud, or the what is it, the floral scents germs will spread throughout your base, and when a duplicant isn't allergic to it, they actually really enjoy the exposure, and it will give them a slight morale bonus, I believe, or at least a stress reduction bonus. So yeah, this has been Oxygen Not Included with Remy, the nomadic nobody. Hopefully someday I'll be a somebody, but I'm certainly a nomad. We actually recently were even discussing whether or not we are going to move out of this apartment complex into another apartment or owning a house. The goal still is that the next time that we move, it will be to a house that we buy, but time will tell. Alright, thanks again for watching, and as I said before, you know, if you ever need any help or anything along those lines, please seek it out, or, you know, even shoot me a message and I'll do my best to respond. Your mental health is no joke. It's as important as projectile vomiting. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. I love you guys. See you around.